Board of Trustees of Crystal City Independent School District will meet in special session at 6 p.m. Monday, June 28, 2021, in the Administrative Building Boardroom, 613 West Zavala Street, Crystal City, Texas. Number one, call meeting to order. Time is
6:01.
Number two, roll call and establishment of a quorum. Ms. Carlos?
Mr. Eric Garcia.
Here.
Mr. Ray Espinosa.
Here.
Mr. Cruz Mata.
Here.
Mr. Victor Bonilla III.
Present.
Mrs. Nora Flores Guerrero is absent. Mrs. Melissa Marquez Guerrero is absent. And Mrs. Peggy Young.
Present.
Director, we do have a quorum. Number three, moment of reflection. All right, number four, audience to patrons for agenda items. Nobody signed up. Number five, informational discussion items, A, 2021 STAR results. Mr. Ramirez.
Sir, Mr. President and members of the board, you'll see in your packets a listing of grade 5 spring 2019 and 2021 reading and mathematics. We're looking at student achievement solely. The green is the 2019 bar graph that shows the number of students that were in the approaches category, the number of students that were in the meets category, and the percentage of master. And so in 2019, the aggregate amount of the approaches, the meets, and the masters is what went together to come up with a school letter grade rating. And so back then, 70% equal a C, and they had 38%. In 2021, as you know, in the spring of 2020, part of the school year was impacted by the COVID and the pandemic. The nation had not faced a pandemic since the 1920s. And so there was confusion and of what to do and whether to send your child to school and so forth. So it was an interrupted academic year, and the governor waived the school reporting requirements on it. In 2021, it continued. We saw instruction at home and those that attended school. You see the results there being an average of 24%. And a 52, if you were to have a letter rating, which we don't have letter rating for this year, just to kind of get an alignment of how it compares to 2019. Then you turn the page and you'll see the 8th grade. The number of students, again, the three categories of approaches, meets, and masters. 2019 had 49%, 2021 had 23%. If you look at the next page, you'll see the Algebra 1, Biology, English 1, 2, U.S. History, the approaches, meets, and masters, the 2019 to the 2021, 39 to a 32. If you look at the bar graph, and there's more for 3 through 8 that we'll bring back to the board on July the 12th to give a comprehensive look at it. You start to see the stair stepping that's moving in the decline. And so we have our work cut out for this coming school year. Not only the instruction that's required for that academic year, but some of the delayed learning in previous grade levels. And so we're going to have to do some curriculum compacting. We're going to have to do some acceleration. We're looking very closely at training at the district level and also at the campus level. And then we'll start to have more information in reference to the overall plan of the superintendent as we move to improve student achievement in all our grades. Questions? Just a brief, but we're going to come back on July the 12th and have a little bit more detail because we'll have the 3 through 8th also. And then you'll have the district picture that you'll be able to see of the whole campus. Our effort is to begin improving from both ends. One, at the beginning with the board's approval of the treasurer's program, and what's happening in the beginning process is delayed sometimes because of lack of experience and interaction at home. And then at the upper level, start to crunch there too. And technology is a big piece, but we haven't been successful with technology because of the equipment quality and the breakdown of it and the infrastructure. And so you'll see a little bit more this board meeting on the 12th as to how that's going to impact the initiatives that we want to undertake.
So Ramirez.
Yes, sir.
I have a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
Have you got an indication from the state level how it's looking? I mean, based on scores or
Yeah.
based on the COVID? I mean,
That's something that they're gonna talk about in the cut scores, because usually what they decide is look at all the state results and they'll decide where that cutoff is. But when we're that low, regardless of where the cut score is, it's
Yeah.
pretty clear the work we got to do.
and the other thing that I want to mention, I mean, is that, I mean, before, I mean, you start, kind of making changes, make sure that you, review what each campus is doing. I mean, I know, the scores for 2019, there was from the old administration. There was another principal, another vice principal. We got, a new principal and a new vice principal. And they were doing, very positive things there. Check with them, I mean, what they were doing and what was working and all that before, I mean, say what was me based on. And check with the other principals, I mean, to see what's happening. And I know you're gonna have that workshop with in San Antonio. That's gonna be part of your
Yes, sir.
dialogue and all that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, no, I think it's important that it's collaborative. It's a
Yeah.
process where everybody participates. They're actually masters of their campus and their
Yeah.
ships. What we want to do is just give them the tools to figure out what works best for their campus.
Or what's working.
And what's
they can
working.
keep
But when you see the trend going down, and it's not fair to always say that it's going down because there's a lot of things that have come into play. But we're just looking at all the data and just trying to be positive with all the staff, all the teachers, all the principals, and look at that in a proactive method. How can we coordinate and align so we can make sure that we're doing the best we can for the students? If it's something that they need support in, we want to be able to give it to them. Whether it's budget, whether it's mentoring, whatever help they want to align. But we also can't work in silos at each campus. We have to be aligned throughout, because then we're going different ways with the kids. And when they switch campuses, there's a little bit of delay and there's not going to be that growth. So we've bought technology all over the place. And so whatever they decide and based on the data, everything is based on data. If they show data of growth and how it helped, I think that's something that needs to be discussed between the principals so they can start to align their softwares also. So there's a lot of work, and part of it is they were isolated because of the pandemic. And so I agree with you, Mr. Espinosa.
I don't know who the U.S. history teacher is, but you better go shake his hand.
Yeah, they've done
The only one that did anything.
they did a heck of a job. And so you have that by your side, and thank you for reminding me, because I was looking at the book and I
No,
I forgot I had this
young
one signed.
teachers that just got, Moses Ibarra, they just got,
He
hired
made,
as a full-time teacher.
he made things happen in spite of the cards he was dealt.
And I'm glad he's already fully
So,
certified.
so if you look in your green folder, you'll see the updated report. You'll see the three.
And if I may, for the record, I want to say that the high school social studies department has always excelled. There's several banners. Well, they used to be on the old high school building. But not to straight up, the social studies department never got any recognition from the board or the central office.
They need it. That,
We basically kept the district afloat because of the high score that our kids were producing. That's when I want that put in the record.
We hope to bring the results back at the next year where you see the stair stepping going back up.
So, if I may, it's extenuating circumstances, our kids are they're gonna do it.
Yep.
Okay, they're gonna step up. It's just one of those things that everybody's gone through. So we should take it in stride. Just go. Let's not go crazy and make all kinds of changes that.
What I'm saying,
Necessary.
to meet with the principals, see, I mean, what they were doing.
I think because there hasn't been a communication on my part completely because of coming in at the last week of school and then getting busy here on what we've encountered in the work. But this is the beginning of the groundwork and they come back on July 1st. That's when we have that conversation. And changes do need to happen. They do need to participate in those decision-making, because if not, you're going to continue to go further down than what you have here.
Eighth grade algebra too. That one carried their weight.
So, Mr. Ramirez, so we're gonna get a more detailed report on July.
Yes, part of it is you're going to see the July 12th Administrative Conference training agenda.
Because I'm curious to see, okay, as far as AP students that are placed on those higher, okay, what happened there? How come they couldn't pass the test? Because these scores are pretty low. In addition to that, I mean, apparently the benchmark that they took, it's totally different. It's opposite than what we're seeing right now. So
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Yeah. So keep in mind that there are two types of benchmarks that are going to be coming up this new year. One that the teachers create, and they have CBAs from the software that we have to create that test item bank. But there's also going to be district level benchmarks that are quarterly, because those are going to mirror the YAG, the curriculum guide, the pacing of what should be the instruction. So what happens when you have AP results like that is because what's being taught is not what's being tested. There's no other explanation for that. And so if what's being tested or what's being taught is not what's being tested at the AP national exam, then what happens is that we have to align that curriculum. It's not that they're not working hard and they're not teaching, it's that we have to align those two to work towards those AP results. Those students, you know, they get a 3, they get a B, they get a 4, you know, so you know how that works. But when you have AP courses going on and they can't pass and get credit, then you're just not aligned.
If I may, sir, those AP, quote-unquote AP courses and pre-AP, they're a misnomer. Because I checked into it, and I would bring it up. Why do we call them that if that's not what they are? I think there was maybe one class that actually went and tested the AP test. They actually went in and tried the AP test. Apparently, they were named like that so that they could participate and do credit.
Yeah, I think part of it plays into this thing about class ranking, and some of it
Yeah, I mean,
into the segregation of kids. So that's an old strategy about pre-AP.
Yeah, one of the first things I brought up to the previous administration was that let's look at that seriously and call them what they are,
Yes.
because they're not AP. We don't test AP.
And usually it's my recommendation that you pay the tuition for all the kids to test, but everyone should test that takes an AP test, AP course. If there's a pre-AP, then whatever that assessment is, we need to make sure everybody, it's not, you just can't take the course and not test.
Yeah, right, that is correct.
That's the instrument to evaluate the program. Thank you. So you have extensive reports there for 3 through 8 also, and then we redid each of those content areas, and then the end of course towards the end. But it's just a wealth of information. What we're going to do is get a snapshot, and it'll come into one frame, and then we'll add a little bit more the vision or the plan of how we're going to work to improve student achievement together, both teachers, campus administrators, and central office, not dictating, but supporting. We just want to have the parameters so they don't get out of the lane, and we're doing different things in the campuses.
Any questions? All right, moving on. B, HVAC status for the Rivera Elementary and Zavala Elementary campuses.
Well, you know, we came to the board at the last meeting asking for Tomas Rivera and Lorenzo de Zavala would train 47,126. I wasn't satisfied with some of the bids, even with the ones with buy board. I worked with the maintenance director to secure the 3-quote method. You see that Texas Pro Heating and Cooling was awarded that for $9,166 as the board authorized me to investigate or to follow through with the replacement. Get this going for the start of school. The next page has Zavala, and we were able to successfully get that for $18,332. Train had it for $43,000. And so those two campuses being taken care of for a tune of $47,100.
And if I may, sir, is that the cooling system they have now, or we're gonna change completely?
That's the ones they have now.
Okay, all right, okay.
Efficient way.
So both of them are Lennox systems.
One is Lennox and one is
Train.
Which one is gonna,
Lennox is Lorenzo de Zavala.
okay. Lorenzo Zavala is we're gonna go with Train.
No, Lorenzo Zavala, we're going with Texas Pro and Heating.
It's Linux.
It's a Lennox.
Lennox, okay.
Both are.
Can I change the whole system there?
No, that's what they have.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to,
I'm sorry, Mr. White.
okay, and what about Tomas Rivera?
It's Lennox also, and so we're keeping with the same system.
Okay, all right.
It's very labor intensive to change.
No, I understand. That's why I thought we had talked about that before.
Yes, but I had more time to dissect it and really come back, so that would be the recommendation.
Now, we set
Information.
money aside for all of this.
Yes, ma'am. You took action, and it's
Yeah,
to be funded by fund balance and reclassified with ESSER money. We're doing the ESSER applications 2 and 3 at this time.
okay.
So, Mr. Ramirez, being that it's already close to July, I mean, when are these people assuring you that everything will be ready for the school year, or?
Well, they've started with the ordering after we awarded, as you can see the date. Yeah, they're already waiting for the equipment, but they're looking at the, I don't want to say, the deconstruction of
So
it.
probably by the beginning of school year.
It'll be ready for the beginning of
I know,
school
I
year.
mean, they had this problem since
It's been going on for a while.
April, so
Yes, sir.
just stay on top of it. Make
Yes,
sure,
sir.
I mean, so we can start the school year with that.
For information.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to C, budget workshop calendar.
Just a reminder about the administration's responsibility in the building of the budget, and the board of trustees of responsibility for the general fund, food service, and the INS, the debt service. And remember that fund and function is what the board looks at in approving of the budgets. And I have just a very brief, generic follow through as far as presenting the budget to the trustees. You decide the dates. These are just suggested dates on the next page for the workshops. However many workshops depends on how if you feel the administration has done a sufficient job in presenting the revenue and presenting the budget, presenting the preliminary users' property values, and all the information that goes into building the budget. You can see that also it calls for, when we call a public meeting, if you're satisfied with the board workshops and the budget, we've got to advertise for 10 days in the newspaper, and then we can have a hearing. And there's an order to it. The budget has to be adopted first, and then the tax rate. And August the 31st is the deadline to have that. There can be no expenditure if you don't produce by the 31st. Now, page 14, you see the proposed budget calendar. I'd like for you to look at that, and you have the calendar, school calendar up front in your notebook. I'd like for you to see if those dates seem to work for you. Usually, those budget workshops, I'll walk you through from the revenue side before, and the staffing, and also in this budget is the teacher salary raise that we're looking at. We have the TASB model, and there's 2 or 3 ways to implement that. And then kind of sees a date there where we can finish by August the 16th, but we have a little leeway in case we have to delay something.
As far as this time, you're looking at about 6 PM or?
Whatever the board wishes. Time does the board prefer?
6.
Yes. We can do that. And usually we're looking hour to hour and a half. It'll be pretty
And the
laid
thing
out.
is, when we do this, we already have it here, that we don't have any special meetings, unless it's one that sometimes
Yeah.
the president would have the regular meeting and then budget workshop at that time.
Yeah, well, wear you out, wear me out.
Yeah.
Okay, if you see something, email me so I can,
I just have a question, sir. In here, where does that TASB proposed pay scale come in?
it'll come in the budget workshop because I'll do the calculations there, but then it'll be in the regular meeting when you adopt it. You have to approve it. Not just the budget, but you have to approve whatever the salary raise is.
Are you going to have some figures from TEA before we?
Yes, I'll have the summary of finance. Yep. Right now, we're working with Mo Casey. For years, I worked with Joe Winoski.
My apologies that I put it on.
Accepted.
He worked at TEA in the school finance along with Tom Canby. Tom Canby retired and went on to Tazewell. Joe Winoski went on to Mo Casey. He works out of California, Seattle. He's relocated, but he still works with Mo Casey. Catherine Knapp is the one that I'm working with, and she's the one presenting the legislative updates throughout the state in reference to the summary of finance. But we'll have all the themes and all the information that's required for the summary of finance. That'll come to the board so you can see where those numbers are coming from. And then that'll be transposed on the budget, on the Ascender worksheet for budget building. And you'll be able to have the tax chief appraiser's preliminary values. All that information will be there, and we'll have a balanced budget. It's a lot of work.
Yes, sir. Any other questions? To the budget workshop calendar. All right, moving on, number 6, closed session. The board will hold a closed session as authorized under the Texas Government Code, section 541.074 of the Open Meetings Act. Time is
6:20.
The recording has stopped.